Ba, 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 ba. Bum, 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 bum. Ba, 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 bum. Ba, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Marvel Revisited. Of course, joined with the usual group that you know and love. Of course, this is the show where we watch, rewatch, rank every MCU movie in order. Today, we are revisiting what movie, Eric? What movie?
Unless you're watching us backwards, then never mind. Today's topic will be Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
You had to get that last out.
Yeah, I'm ready to.
Yes, The Winter Soldier. This movie came out April 4th, 2014. The budget, I didn't have that prepared. The budget,
Cost money.
yes, of 177 million and box office of 714 million. Directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. This is the introduction to the Russo brothers, and oh man, is it a good introduction.
Debut editing credit for the MCU.
So, we're going to do this as we always do it, starting off with how many times have you seen it? Did anything change rewatching it? Eric.
This one I feel bad about because this is a great movie, and the first time I watched it was the only time I watched it in theaters, and I was like, I loved it. So, there's something about, there's so many Marvel movies that I'm just like, I don't know. Do I have the time to sit down? Because I feel like if I start in a certain spot, I have to be like, okay, well, I now have to watch this movie, and then I have to watch this movie. But I have no complaints about this movie. I think it's a great, not only Marvel movie, but an action movie. So this would be my second time seeing it, and I felt the same way. I'm just like, man, probably shouldn't have took so long to watch it again.
Yeah.
So good, bro.
It's amazing. Nate, how many times have you seen it? Anything change rewatching it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm under double digits for watching, but I might not be. I've seen this movie a lot. It's like it was before Infinity War, like favorite Marvel movie. So it was just like, man, it was kind of like Iron Man was just that go-to movie. Like, let's watch a superhero movie, MCU movie, and let's watch Iron Man. And then this one came out, and out of theaters, I was like, man, that was really, really good. Like, that was so freaking good. Like, that was the same thing, Eric. The best action movie I've seen since the original Taken. Like, just so good.
I remember you really liking Taken too.
Not Taken 2.
No,
not
Taken
Taken 2.
as well.
We're talking about Taken 1.
Exactly.
I remember you being taken by Taken.
Captain America has a very certain set of skills.
I know. And they involve being awesome. And I just like would watch it. And it's just like the more I watched it, the more I appreciated it, the more I loved it. And it's just, it also helped define like my taste in action. I think I had already started to really like the up close brawler, not too much martial arts, but definitely martial arts infused action and fighting. And once I watched this film, it was like, this is what I want in an action film. Like, this is the kind of choreography I want to see. This is the kind of tension I want to see. This is kind of storytelling in the action that I want to see. And it's just so good. Yeah, man, I love it. I mean, just so you guys know, behind the scenes, we watched Thor: The Dark World When? Do you guys remember when we watched? Was that a Monday?
Yeah, I think it was. Well, no. Yeah, was it?
I think
It was
Monday.
Tuesday. Tuesday that we recorded. I
Yeah,
think.
so I watched Throw the Dark World Monday, and then I think either that, I don't know when we talked about it, but it was like within a day or two. Probably on Tuesday, I was like, yeah, we can watch Winter
No,
Soldier like in a day. Like I can watch it tomorrow, and that's exactly what I did. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Same. Like, I love this movie. I think I'm not. I didn't watch as much as Nate, but I think I was. I definitely have seen this movie. I'm thinking probably roughly around 7 times, and yeah, this movie is just a gem. It obviously sets a very familiar tone that we know and love by the Russo brothers, and it's kind of like it's giving. I always, when we talked about Avengers, it was, and Iron Man, it's kind of like that magic that those movies have. Very different types of movies,
I'll
but they
explain it to
both
you. I'll
have
explain to you what that magic
those
is. Like
those
it can be quantified.
yeah, those movies have their magic, and this is one of them that has it as well. And it's taking that magic and infusing it with the original Avengers, and that's what we get, and like that's what makes the MCU a really big juggernaut when we get to Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, because it's by the Russo brothers, and it has that just perfection to it, you know. So yeah, this movie is freaking amazing.
Do you want me to get into it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You can do your little rant, Nate. Do it.
So before this,
Before
I
the
don't
dawn
think
of
the
time.
Russo brothers had I'm like almost 100% sure they hadn't had any big budget blockbuster film directing credits, and I'm fairly certain they didn't have any like full on feature film directing credits. What I knew and what I heard about that they had done before this were episodes of Arrested Development, which is a comedy show
Community, I
that
think.
came. No, it's Arrested
Oh,
Development.
is
They
it?
may have done
Okay.
Community as well,
Okay.
but I know them from Arrested Development. You should look that up, Winston. And the signature that they had in the episodes that they directed for Arrested Development is that every single scene and every aspect of every single frame that they could infuse comedy into, they would put comedy into. Like they wouldn't just write a scene and like, okay, this is the joke and that's it. It's like, no, this is the joke, and then we're gonna put wordplay in the joke, and then what they're wearing, we're gonna make that kind of funny, and then what's in the background of this scene, we're gonna make that funny, and then that's gonna tie in into later in the episode. Like they just write the scene and then go through every single little aspect to make as many little tiny jokes as they could. And it was brilliant in the episode, just subtle brilliance. And they do the exact same thing in this film, but instead of infusing comedy and jokes, it's narrative, and it's telling you a story about the characters and about the world. And it's in every single scene. Where the scenes are taking place, why the characters are fighting the way that they're fighting, why the characters are fighting at the places that they're fighting. It's more than just, oh, why is this person saying this and why is this person doing this? It's like, why are they dressing this way? It's because of this. Why are they? It's every single little aspect, every detail that you can, uh, analyze in this film, they have put into, oh, it's like this because of this. And it just adds such, the first time I watch it and the first time anybody watch it, you don't notice that. It's just good, like, because the big and the important stuff is good, the overall narrative and the overall action scenes. My monitor is kind of acting up. But then when you watch it again and you watch it again and you watch it again and you keep like looking for these details and you keep seeing these details, oh, it's like, oh, they are fighting like this or acting like this or dressing this way for this reason. And it's always either a callback to a previous movie or a callback to the comics or trying to explain a deeper aspect of this character. And it's just so enjoyable to watch. They do such a good job with both Bucky and Cap and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Like those three, just like they just get the treatment and it's awesome.
For sure. Yeah. I think everything you said was correct. And something that I was like thinking about while I was watching this is like, and something that has been said about this movie a lot is that this is straight up an espionage like movie. Like this, outside of the movie, I'm sorry, outside of the MCU even, it's just a good espionage spy soldier movie, you know? It could be a Mission Impossible, you know, it could be a Jason Bourne, it could be any of those, and hold ground, even be better than a lot of those movies, you know?
I'd compare it more to something in the Bourne series, because especially recently with like the James Bonds and the Mission Impossibles, is even those are getting real, you know, far-fetched and big budget, but this one's so grounded and everything just feels so real. And just like, man, I buy that. Even the super far-fetched stuff like Captain America jumping out of a freaking plane and a freaking giant helicarriers,
Like busting through those walls like he did with when he's chasing after Winter Soldier.
Like all those, and it's those details, bro. It's so good.
Yep.
Like in those walls when he's chasing Bucky after Nick Fury gets shot 3 times through the chest, like you know, instead of just making it clean and look good, like they have him overshoot the turn in the hallway and just bash into that wall with the shield, and then just keep going. And it's just like, it's so good.
And something I was thinking about as well is just like what we're seeing in this movie is no joke. At this point in time, the world's best spies and soldiers, they are in this movie, you know? So this is like top of the line soldiers and spies. That's what this movie is about. We're not getting your Iron Mans. We're not getting these you know, Thors or these god-esque people, Hulk. No, we're just getting, yes, these are impressive human beings, but they're still humans, you know? And that's what makes it so grounded as well and believable. Anyways, let's get into ranking things. Where would you guys rank this in the importance to the MCU?
So definitely, this one's interesting because it has some surprisingly important things that happen. Like Bucky coming back.
Bucky.
It doesn't seem like it's that important, but like Bucky coming back, you know, finding out that Bucky killed Tony's parents, then that causes civil war.
I forgot that we got that confirmation.
It's so subtle, bro.
Yeah.
Like even after watching it in Civil War, it's like, did that happen? And then you go back, it's like, oh, I guess they did, because they don't spell it out for you. Like they show the scene is the Winter Soldier assassinates people. Like he says, like, yeah, we sent him out to assassinate people. And then after that, they don't say anything. They're just showing like newspaper clippings of people that are dead. And one of those people is the Starks. And it's Stark, like, if you're not on it, then like you're not going to remember or that together. But as I was saying, you know, he kills the Starks, and then, you know, that hugely important in Civil War, and then which ends up dividing the Avengers, which ends up making them lose in Infinity War. Just like all these huge things can find their root in this film. Not to mention the introductions of characters like Falcon. You know, it's I think it's very, very important. If you should give us a list, Winston.
Number 1 is Avengers. Number 2 is Thor. Number 3 is Captain America. I already think it's above those. So what do you guys think? Just in those top 3.
I don't think it's above Avengers.
I don't think it's above Avengers. I think it's number 2, me personally.
Yeah. And then another thing to remember is it also gives us Steve not just following orders anymore.
Yes, and that is one of my favorite things about this movie.
It's huge character development for Steve.
It's the same thing that I loved about Falcon and Winter Soldier, except it's done like 5 times better. Where it's asking the question, who is Captain America? You know, Because before that, in the original Captain America and everything, I saw it and I was like, honestly, that was better than I thought, because I thought Captain America as a character was just kind of lame, you know? And I was surprised with how much I liked the original Captain America. But I wasn't excited for Winter Soldier when it first came out. And I walked out of the theater like, dang, that really blew me away. I am super surprised. Because it didn't just make Cap like, I am a good soldier, you know? It breaks him down in a sense of Captain America. Being Captain America, it's not about being a good soldier. It's not about being patriotic. What it's about is standing up against people who are bullies, you know? It's standing for what is right.
And it's about, I mean, it's a shame, but it's standing up for the core values of what America is supposed to be.
Yep.
Which is freedom and liberty and the American dream.
Justice for all.
But the thing is, and the great thing about this movie is it directly points out that, like, yes, it's what America should be, but most of the time it's not what America is, you know?
And see, this is one thing where I give props to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This movie, I mean, it cops out. It was Hydra all along under the scene. It cops out. Like, that is a cop out when you're looking at it as a social issue and as social commentary. But this movie doesn't have to be social commentary. It can just like drop the idea in and still be a good movie. And, you know, that's, you know, if you watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier final review, that's one of the things that I love so much about that show, is that it doubles down on that. It does an excellent job of that. And this movie, it starts the conversation, but immediately backs out.
Yeah. And something else I want to say is that another thing I really loved about this movie when I first saw it is it gave me a lot of vibes of Civil War, which at that time, Civil War was not announced. So I was like, man, I think this is like the closest we're going to get to Civil War, because that was one of my favorite Marvel comics that I had read. And I was like, this is great, you know? And then Civil War got announced, and I was like, oh boy. And I was super excited for that one. But yeah, I think this goes at number 2 for sure in MCU importance.
What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Sweet. Number 2 it is.
Yeah, another thing with Black Widow's development. I didn't mind the Black Widow in Avengers. Like, she's fine, you know, she's cool. She does some cool things. But in this one, you clearly get to see her path. You know, in Avengers, it's very much she's just putting on an act. And there's very few times where you see, you know, when she's with Clint, after Clint comes back, you know, she's out of her shell a little bit. You know, when Hulk threatens her, she's out of her shell a little bit. She comes out of her shell very few times. But 90% of that movie, it's an act. In this film, you can see her really trying to change and stop being that killer spy and start being, you know, a friend and a teammate and a hero. And it's cool. You know, it's still subtle in this film. You know, she hasn't made that transition, but her arc is one of my favorite arcs in the MCU because it's so progressive. It's subtle. It's not over the top. It's not like, oh, she's just a straight good guy. She's just now like female version of Captain America. No, it starts out bad, and not bad, but it starts out more reticent, and then slowly she grows out of her shell. And she's deciding who she's going to be, because she honestly doesn't even know who she is.
Yep.
And it's great.
Honestly, I think this movie is her best in the MCU, and then followed underneath that by Endgame. Like, those two movies are the one where, in my opinion, Black Widow really shines, and we really get to see this character do some awesome stuff. In this one, it's like, who are you? And then in Endgame, it's like it's taking that step, you know?
Yeah, and it's asking a question, because it's also like, whose side are you going to be on, Black Widow? It's like, because she's already doing shady stuff for Nick in the beginning, and then once Nick Fury gets shot and everybody thinks she's dead, she has to decide, like, am I going to side with Steve on this or not? And we get to see, like I said, that awesome character development where she does, you know, she sides with Steve, she sides with the moral right. And just another tiny quick side note is, you know, when she's fighting Winter Soldier, you know, under the bridge on that highway, you know, road fight, she's getting some good hits in. And in my mind, I'd love to think that, like, if Bucky wasn't augmented and didn't have the Vibranium Arm, like, she'd probably kick his ass. Like, it'd probably be a really good fight.
To be clear, that's not a vibranium arm. It's
It's
just a
not?
metal. It's just metal. He doesn't get a vibranium arm until he gets to go to Wakanda.
Are you 100% sure about that?
No. I'm pretty sure, though, it's not
Look it up.
vibranium.
Look it up.
Also, I want to mention...
I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure it's vibranium.
All right, you look it up. I also want to mention that, is it just me, or is there like a lot of sexual tension between Cap and Black Widow this movie? Like,
So-
it seems like they should have been a thing. And
There
I feel like...
is-
sorry, hold on. And
Go ahead. No, go
also, like, later in the MCU, we see her kind of have a thing with Bruce. We see her kind of have a thing with, like, these other people. But I'm like, this is the most where I'm like, I buy it. Like, I totally buy it. Like, Cap makes her... Being around Cap makes her a better person. That totally seems like, you know, I think I want to be with this person, you know? Or am I wrong? What do you guys think?
I think I think you're wrong. But I think the directors wanted to leave the door open. I think they wanted it to be a little ambiguous. I don't think there's sexual tension per se, but I think that there is maybe a little bit on her part because I don't really get it from him at all.
I guess that's true.
I
But
don't-
also,
I think
Cap is
I-
so pure, you know?
Yeah. That's not fully true, bro. I mean, he kisses his girl's niece.
But that's when
The
we get to
next one.
Civil War and he doesn't know that information. No, wait, no, he does. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. I forgot about that.
Anyway, and I think for her, I think it's her figuring out what she wants. Because again, I don't think it's full on. I want to have a romantic relationship with Steve, but it's like she's again trying to find out, like Kaylin's saying, but behind the camera, like she is already like she knows how she looks and she knows that she can use that to her advantage.
Mhm.
And I think she's kind of doing that with Steve because that's just who she's trying to figure out what her personality is. But at the same time, I do think that she really, really, really looks up to Steve.
Yeah.
And she's like, man, if I can be like him, like he is a great like compass. Like if I can do what he's doing and be like him, then I think, you know, I'm going to be a person that I'd like. And I think that's part of her journeying of her finding who she is. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I went ahead and looked it up. It says, following the loss of his arm in 1945, Barnes was given a titanium arm by Hydra.
Okay.
After the titanium arm was destroyed by Iron Man in 2016,
Okay.
he was given a vibranium arm by T'Challa during
Yes.
the Infinity War of 2018.
Dude, I always thought it was vibranium, bro. I always thought it was
It would make
vibranium.
sense because you think about it, like it's Cap is like hitting him with the vibranium
Yeah.
shield. Just be like, wow.
And that's the only time that there's like any damage done to it is when he hits it with the vibranium. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know, it's vibranium on vibranium. And then, you know, when we see in Civil War, when Iron Man blasts it off, I was like, damn, dude, he went like all out with that chest blast to blow off the vibranium arm. But no, I mean, it being titanium is cool. It's a sweet freaking arm.
Since we're talking about Black Widow, we're going to introduce some marvelous facts.
Marvelous.
Thank you.
I don't.
Black Widow mentions Operation Paperclip, which was a real-world reference to the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, program, in which over 1,500 German scientists, technicians, and engineers from Nazi Germany and other foreign countries were brought to the United States for employment after in the aftermath of World War II. Sorry, I lost my place. And a little quick one on top of that. In the comics, Winter Soldier trained Natasha Romanoff, and the two eventually were in a romantic relationship.
Cool.
I love that, again, that little back, you know, little backstory nugget where it's like, oh, they've met before and he shot her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see what else. What's the next thing to rank? The next thing is costumes. Oh man, dude. So we're only going to rank one costume in this, which is the main one, because obviously he goes back to Old Boy at the end of it.
Which again, narratively makes sense, but visually sucks.
It's fine. And then, but also a little quick side note on that is that at the beginning of the film, right when they're going onto the boat, he has the shield and it has all the muted colors. Yeah. So it's like his stealth shield, which I thought was awesome. It looked so good, dude. What a great introduction to the movie, period. Like he's just throwing guys over. He's just like demolishing people even before anyone lands on the boat. Like he's just, you can tell
he's halfway done with the whole ship by the time everybody else gets there.
And also,
I got a real Batman Arkham vibe when I saw him taking out guys, because Batman doesn't kill people, but after Batman's done with them, they wish they were dead.
Yeah, for sure.
He realizes those men, makes me cry. I'm just like, oh, that guy is, if he's not dead, he's paralyzed. So yeah, a lot of that. It's like, ooh, ah, ooh.
And the other thing is, I was watching a behind the scenes thing, and Anthony and Joe Russo actually said, like, we wanted this intro scene to be very clear that he's been training and that he's been like enhancing his skills since Avengers, and it shows for sure. And it's like, that's awesome that they clarified that.
Yeah, because definitely in Captain America and in Avengers, he's just purely relying on his super soldier strength.
Yep.
You see very little martial arts and anything of that nature. And like you said, dude, the style that they went with, shout out to the action coordinator. It's God. Like I said, like just that brawler style, like Batman in the Arkham games, is just so satisfying. Because yes, there's good martial arts is also very satisfying. But to me, just like the impact of just like straight punches and hooks, it's just like with very little flourish and very little, fancifulness. It's just like, I'm here to get a job done. And it's just so cool to watch.
Yeah. Everything in this movie has weight to it. Every fight has so much weight, not only narratively and emotionally, but also just like you can feel those punches. And that freaking one shot that was just like, I remember in the theater, I gasped when he shoots a rocket launcher at him and then Cap just goes flying. I was just like, whoa.
He gets knocked out.
Yep.
Cap gets like the only time in the MCU where Cap gets knocked out for like 30 seconds or a minute. It's great.
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, where are we ranking this new costume? I think it's very easy to say.
I mean, it's easily at the top.
Number one. And
number one. Good.
And this is another time where I referenced when we were talking about the Avengers costume, that it's very clear that suit wasn't a vest. And this is right when that starts happening. And most of the costumes from here on out are going to be vests on top of sleeves and everything to give them that range of motion. So like we see that in Shang-Chi, we see that in the other future Cap costumes.
You see it in this movie with Falcon and with Winter Soldier.
Yep, for sure. So it's number one on the Cap suits. And I guess let's rank the villain, Winter Soldier, or do you want to say Hydra?
Yeah. How do we do this? It's Bucky, because even though he's not the mastermind, he's the guy doing the work.
Yep.
He's the one that does everything that matters. And the thing is, because he's not the mastermind, I think that takes a lot away from him. But, just the fighting and just the, other side of the coin with Cap is so entertaining to watch.
And speaking of that, I didn't have it written down here, but I read a fact that it's so much the other side of the coin that they even influenced it into his mask. That Cap, when he has his helmet, it's this, and then this is all exposed, and it's the other way around for Winter Soldier.
It's like really cool. It's what I was talking about, where every single detail has a narrative component to it. He's talking about that mask where it's like, hey, we're trying to do the mirror image of Captain America. So his helmet is going to be on the bottom of his face. And, the last fact that you just talked about, with, God damn it, why don't I remember it? Oh, with the way he fights on the ship, where it's like, oh, the way he fights is subconsciously informing you that he's not just throwing punches around, that he is now a trained soldier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So give us the list.
Number 1, Loki. Number 2, Red Skull. I already think it goes above
All
Red
right,
Skull.
we're done.
Yeah.
It's number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Sweet.
And again, just go ahead.
Danny would be so appalled.
Forget Danny, bro.
Oh, Red Skull!
But it's like,
he does so much. He's so cool.
He could have been, Red Skull could have been so much cooler. You imagine if they just, if that director and those writers had done the same quality job to making a flip side of Captain America that the Russos did for this film, like how much cooler Red Skull would have been.
Yep. Very true. I'm going to throw a few more marvelous facts here. Anthony Mackie's appearance in this film fulfills his dream of playing a Marvel comic book character. Side note, if you guys remember, he was supposed to play the Mandarin, so I'm super glad he got this one instead. He wrote a series of emails to Marvel wanting to play any comic book character that would appear on film. Though the studio reportedly replied to him that they will respond in due time, Mackie's emails caught the attention of producer Kevin Feige, who subsequently offered him the role of Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon. And a quick side note to that, the Falcon's flight gear sports a Stark Industry logo. This indicates they are the manufacturer.
Cool.
Yay, Tony!
He's so good. Even in the first few seconds of the movie, and we get hit on your left. He's like, yeah, I get it. And he's just like, man, I need a new pair of lungs. Just like instantly, you can see this is a cool guy, and I just want to see more of him,
Yep.
And that dude can fly.
Yep.
Never said
his choreography is great. And even here, you see he's not fully developed, but you see all of the precursors and forerunners in his character for when he becomes Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
You can see his, when he's fighting Rumlow at the end, it's like, yeah, this guy's a better fighter than me, but I'm not going to get up. Like, shut up, man. It's like, I'm doing it. That's also his version of, I can do this all day.
Exactly. And also the, hey, I do what he does, just slower.
Just slower.
Oh, God, such a good line.
I know. And it's just great. And then, even, with his veteran therapy, that's very similar to what Cap does in Endgame, which also shout out, I don't know if this is one of your facts, but when Captain and Sam Wilson and Black Widow, go down to that dam or whatever, where they find that Nick Fury's still alive, and there's a doctor that runs up, which is also the director. Is that Joe?
I believe it's Anthony. Let me see. I do have it written down.
It is, but this is the same guy.
It's Joe.
It's the same guy that you see in Endgame who's talking about going on a date and crying. It's the same character. It's really cool.
Joe Russo. Let's rank the CGI. Right now, I'll tell you the ranking. Number 1, Avengers, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor: Dark World. I think it's above that, so it's up to you now.
What do you think, Eric?
Boy, probably after Iron Man 2.
You put it behind Iron Man 2?
Yeah, I think so.
So the only flaw that I can think of off the top of my head, because this is not a CGI heavy film.
No.
It is not. I mean, there's a lot of explosions, which is good.
They try to do everything they could practical.
Yeah. So the only thing that I noticed is that when the arm is touched up with CGI, it sometimes looks unrealistic. And I think it has to do with the lighting. Sometimes the arm, just when they touch it up with the lighting, it just looks a little too bright, looks maybe a little less sharp, but it's like, it's a blink and you miss it type thing.
Yeah.
Like, did you guys ever think the arm looked funky?
Not really. Honestly, I was looking out for stuff like that. I think there's only one scene I can ever remember the CGI looking a little weird, and it was the motion more than the actual CGI. It was the animation, I guess. When Falcon gives Cap a ride back up and he drops Cap and they start running, it's super zoomed out, so it's really hard to notice. But that motion of him dropping Cap, pulling up the wings, and then walking on the hovercraft, whatever it's called, that looked a little strange to me. Helicarrier, thank you.
Also on that animation note, dude, guys, we're being nitpicky. When Captain, it's after the elevator scene, which we're probably going to get into here in a second, when he's escaping that base, and the ship comes out on the bridge and he's on his motorcycle. The shield and Captain, look, again, the animation is a little funky. They bend the physics a little too much on that one. And honestly, that might be the worst offender, because I think that's the most obvious moment. But again, it's so quick, and it's an important moment, but it's not such an important moment that it doesn't, you forget about it in 2 seconds. I honestly think it goes below Iron Man 1 and above everything else.
I think agree.
I think Avengers wins because of the set pieces. I think Iron Man wins because of that suit. It's just, in my opinion, the suit never looks better. Like the suit that you see in the Gulmira fight and after the Gulmira fight, I think the suit never looks better than it does in that scene in any of the other films. And it looks great, but I think that is when it looks its best, because it's just that perfect mix of practical and CG, and that keeps it keeps Iron Man above this. But I think it's better than Iron Man 2, because the only times you see the practical suit in Iron Man 2 is like at the party and like very not engaging and entertaining scenes. And then the rest is CGI, and you can tell, especially back then, unfortunately, with the technology, it looks very Transformery with that suitcase suit.
So
this one,
okay, I agree.
Yeah, but I'd put it at third.
Okay.
And it's been like second, third now in the lists.
Yeah.
It's a banger.
Now, gentlemen, it's time to guess the Rotten Tomato score.
It's the prices. The Rotten Tomato score is right. 87. Although this one, in my opinion, like 93. In my opinion.
Dang, okay.
At least. I mean, if I was rating it, this film would be like a 96 between 98. Like, it's right there.
Yeah.
But I think the public probably gave it an 87.
Say 84.
84. Dang, I'm going to go above. I'm going to say 89.
I bet Winston's going to get it. I always underestimate the public.
90.
Oh, nice. Good job, Winston. Such a good film, man.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So good.
What do you guys think of the soundtrack?
I'm very interested to see what you guys think.
So for me, I noticed it right away. And that's more than I could say about a lot of films, is that right when they're running and it's just the trumpet in the background with the little snare and everything. It was the original Captain America theme song, which they alter throughout the course of the movie. But at that moment, it's the original Captain America theme song. But I think it hit perfectly, and it said exactly what it needed to say, exactly when it should have. It put suspense right when we needed it. I think it fulfilled all its purposes. But then again, I don't think it's as badass as Avengers or Iron Man. So I would probably have to put it under Iron Man 2, because Iron Man 2 is the last AC/DC song. So that's where I would put it. But what do you guys think?
I agree with you.
Yeah, for me, just excellent pairing with the scenes. Like Winston was saying, so many of these movies just have generic inspiring music, generic bravery music.
Yeah.
But like anytime Winter Soldier's themes comes on, it's like the hairs are standing up out of like, oh God, the shiz is going down. It's just like that freaking high pitch. I think it's violin, and it's just so well mastered and so well paired. And I do believe it's under Iron Man 1, just because that AC/DC just hits so hard.
Yeah, it does.
And what's behind Iron Man 1?
Iron Man 2.
There's another AC/DC song.
Honestly, guys, it's like right there for me. I think you guys are gonna keep it under Iron Man 2, but like for me, it's basically tied. Like Iron Man 2 gets the booyah factor, but this one just gets the damn good like music storytelling, telling story with your music. It just gets it more than I think Iron Man does. So it's like right there. Like I cannot discount how awesome AC/DC is in those films, but at the same time, I cannot discount how well these tracks fit the scenes that they're in and how much they help enhance the emotion that the directors are trying to infuse this scene with. So it's like right there, dude. Like I just watched Cap, so it's probably gonna be up there. But I'm sure if you'd asked me when we watched Iron Man 2, I'd be like, no, Iron Man 2 is probably still a little bit better. It's like right there, guys.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's the new number 4 under Iron Man 2. Nick got outvoted.
Number 4?
Yeah, it's
I thought you said it was Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2.
No, Avengers. Iron Man.
Avengers,
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2.
We put Avengers over Iron Man 1?
Yeah, dude. Avengers is fantastic, dude. It's iconic, and it's not just AC/DC. It's an actual score, and it's iconic.
Does Avengers have AC/DC in it? It does, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Right
when Iron Man appears, yeah.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
If it was up to me, it'd be like tied for third.
You just want it to be in the top 3. That's all it is.
Dude, it's good, bro.
It is.
This is why there needs to be a third person on this.
All right. The moment Nate's been waiting for.
Mm.
Action scene.
I want you guys to go first, dude.
Oh, man.
There's like 4 action scenes in this film that are better than every other action film scene in the MCU right now.
Totally agree. But like, God, like, the iconic, there's scenes in this that are so iconic that change the way at least I'm talking out my butt here because I'm not exactly sure, but I'm like, I think it influences how people look at choreography now when they're thinking about a blockbuster movie. Like that elevator scene and that highway scene, it completely changes how people look at action, period. Especially the elevator scene because it's so tight. There's not much, you'd think, oh, there's not much we can do when you have 10 people in this tiny little elevator. How are we going to make that engaging?
Over 200 pounds.
Yeah. How are we going to make that engaging? How are we going to make it clear what's actually happening?
Clarity, dude.
And, how do we make it last more than a second, And it's just, they do it so good.
I remember watching that scene in theaters, and I was like, that was the best thing I've seen in my life. Like, that was the coolest action moment of all time. Because it's so fresh. It's so unique. It's so well done. It's just Cap against like 8 dudes. And it's just like every tiny little beat is so good, man. Oh, man. But then as time has gone on, the highway scene, bro, it's just
brutal, dude.
The details, and it's like everybody gets their bit, and it's just so freaking good, man. Ugh. I mean, I want to put the highway scene over the elevator scene just because it's a little bit more complex.
Yeah, and it's longer, and it means more to the story, and the choreography is more elaborate, I guess you could say, because they're on top of the highway, then they go under the highway, then he's against Black Widow, then he's against Cap, and there's just so much dynamics.
Like the momentum and the speed of it goes up and down, the tension goes up and down. And dude, don't discount like also Bucky and Cap's final fight. Like that is also, it's not as good, but like it's really good still. Like both the choreography and the emotion in that fight is like really solid. And then don't discount Falcon's fighting. You know, I think he's just fighting like basically random dudes, and he fights Bucky a little bit, but it's also like really entertaining to watch and super cool. But yeah, dude, I mean, the knife flip,
Oh yeah.
the stab into the van,
Oh yeah.
when freaking Bucky gets the shield and then Cap takes it back. It's like, dude, it's the stuff I'm talking about, bro.
The stuff.
honestly, like real talk though, I think for our generation, like, hold that thought. I think before this movie and before the MCU in general, I think a lot of people, and probably even older than Eric, like look at movies like Rocky or things, or I don't know, Rambo maybe. I'm not exactly sure. They look at certain other movies for inspirational choreography. I think with our generation, we have seen the MCU from the ground up, and we've seen this, which is like such a great choreography movie. And then this also inspired and influenced Daredevil, which Daredevil is another MCU product that the choreography is just brilliant in and has become historic, especially in the hallway scene of Daredevil.
Oh, always.
And
which is inspired by Asian cinema.
yes, yes. But like, the more that I think about it, the MCU as a whole, at least in choreography, let alone, character development and filmography and cinematography, sorry, and everything like that, it's changing the movie industry as a whole. And that's just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely what you can say this movie helped inspire is just the clarity in fight scenes. Because, the early 2010s and the 2000s, honestly, like even in the 90s, so many cuts, so many jump cuts, so much shaky cam, just so much. And this one is like, we want you to feel tense, and we're going to use the camera to do that. But we also want you to see how impressive what's happening is. And, that's stuff that they didn't they haven't up to that point hadn't really very successfully done since like old martial arts films where they would show you everything in camera.
Yep.
But
yep.
And yeah, I think this movie helped encourage other action films that came out in the future, like even Mission Impossible. It's like, no, we want people to see what this fight is. Like the bathroom fight in, I think it's Ghost Protocol in Mission Impossible. I don't know if it's Ghost Protocol, but with Henry Cavill and the Asian actor, I'm very sorry whose name I don't know, and Tom Cruise, like that fight would not be filmed the same way if it wasn't for how popular that style was made by the Winter Soldier, and just the MCU in general.
Before we actually rank the action sequence, I should have said this marvelous fact while we were talking about CGI. But Haley Atwell was aged using computer graphics imagery for her appearance as an elderly Peggy Carter. Co-director Anthony Russo commented that all the old people have looked the same in movies since the 80s when you go down the makeup route. Co-director Joe Russo said, "We changed her face and her muscle structure and all those things that actually change when you age." I think that scene looked, for what it was,
unrecognizable.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like Peggy Carter at all.
But it is that actress,
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then I guess I'll put this one in here too. While writing the script, there was a big possibility of Hawkeye being in the film. However, the writers felt that there were too many characters introduced, and they didn't want Hawkeye to be there without any depth. They instead decided to write a small scene in which Hawkeye and his whereabouts are mentioned, which was shot, but ultimately wasn't included in the film. And supposedly, before they rewrote it, he was actually supposed to fight Captain America, and Cap was going to beat him, but it was going to be obvious, like he was going to be like whispering, like "make it look good" kind of thing, like he was letting Cap win. But
I can see him being in this film. It totally makes sense, but I'm glad he wasn't, because it would have taken focus away from every other thing that we got that was great in this film.
Yeah. So I think it makes it real difficult Where are we gonna rank the action sequence and which one we
Just
going
so
in for?
I vote for highway fight,
Highway
I
fight
agree.
number
I
one.
agree.
and we're fighting against Gulmira, right?
No, Avengers is number one. War in New York. Number two is Gulmira.
And there's such different fights, because the final fight in New York with Avengers is just so epic, and there's so many epic and cathartic and satisfying moments. And there is incredible technical achievement, with the CG and the CG choreography. Honestly, man,
Oh, Eric says number two.
yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna be impartial and be objective, how many people care that much about this highway fight compared to people that remember and love the New York fight?
Jeez, dude, I'm super surprised. I go number one, man.
Dude, Nate agrees with you. If
Well,
we were just
you're
having a
dude,
conversation,
you're the one that's gonna set it, dude. I say number one. Eric says number two. You're the tie. You're like, you have to break the tie, man.
here's the thing, Eric. The New York fight is freaking awesome.
It's great.
Okay, it's freaking great. It is done very well, but at its core, it's just good blockbuster fun. There is enough narrative imbued into it to make it good.
You
But
don't
it's
have
just
to make your. You don't have to make your
Dude,
case.
I'm making it for myself.
Understand why
I'm
you're
making
going.
it. I'm making it for myself. It's not like, oh, Eric, please forgive me. It's like I need. It's hard for me to choose this, but it's just the fighting and the choreography and the flawlessness of it in both the blocking and the storyboarding and then the execution is just so flawless that it's like a perfect scene. So I got to give it the number one right now.
And for me, the thing that I think it does better than like Avengers, it's great for sure, and it shows how you can take all these characters and take their characters as a whole and say how would they fight in a team with this person, and they do very good with it. But this, it's not just taking that; it's taking those aspects, but it's also telling a story through the fighting. That's something we don't get in Avengers, and that's why it's above it. Like, not only is it impressive, not only is it entertaining, but it also continues the story through the action. That's something that we see through the rest of the MCU when Anthony and Joe Russo are directing, and it is
And
marvelous.
other directors
Do
as
we?
well. Yeah, I would say the Spider-Man stuff, bro. They do
Oh, that's
great
true.
work
That's
with
true.
that.
That's true. Very true. Okay.
Such a damn good scene. Yeah, and we just totally fly over the awesome freaking Nick Fury versus the police scene, which is like
yeah, holy
really
crap.
good,
I've
dude. Like
completely
that is
forgot
a
about that.
great scene. That is above a handful of the fights. There are like 4 fights in this movie that are action sequences in this movie that are above like half of the other sequences
Yeah.
in the other films, and this is one film,
Yep.
and it is just so loaded with scrumptious goodness.
Scrumdiddlyumptiousness.
We're going to talk about Nick Fury for a little bit. One thing I remember watching the behind the scenes, and Anthony and Joe Russo were talking about like, hey, we love to do car chases and car sequences, but how do we make one seem not only one fit the story, but seem different and unique? And I think they did
Well,
it
there you go. Yeah, that was a
really
great.
well. Yeah. Like, not only was there incredible tension there and everything, but it shows you what Nick Fury is actually capable of, just intellectually, you know, how combat ready he is.
And just like the way that he would fight,
Yeah.
it's like he would have all these different things in that vehicle for a moment like this.
And this is just the normal vehicle that he drives, like every night.
Mhm.
Yep, it's just like my, normal Corolla, Here's some facts that we're going to get through. Nick Fury relates a story of his grandfather being an elevator operator. In real life, Samuel L. Jackson's grandfather was an elevator operator.
Oh wow.
Also, the quote from Ezekiel 25:17, "The path of the righteous man," on Nick Fury's tombstone, is the first line from the same Bible verse that Samuel L. Jackson's character Jules has memorized in Pulp Fiction.
It's hilarious. That's great.
And the last one mentioning Fury. The song played in Steve Rogers' apartment when Fury is waiting for him is the same song played at the end of Avengers Endgame when Peggy and Steve are slow dancing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he just happened to pick the record that Steve likes.
You know, it probably was already in there, played from the last night, and he was just like, all right, let's play this one. Also, third thing is, what do you guys think? Or is at any point, is Nick Fury the Skrull? No? You say it's true Fury the whole time?
Don't Skrulls bleed normal even if they are pretending to be somebody else? I think they do. So I don't think he really is the Skrull, which also makes sense because this is super important for S.H.I.E.L.D. Like the helicarrier launch is super important. So I don't know if this is something that Nick Fury would be like, I have something more important to do, so let the Skrull handle it. Go ahead.
I feel like that would happen around like Civil War time.
Also the story, dude, the personal story in the elevator. Like, I don't think that's a story that the Skrull would tell.
Yeah, no, for sure. And also,
yeah, my Skrull grandfather used to run an alien
elevator.
Yeah,
right. He used to get Skrull tips, and he bought a Skrull handgun.
I even thought this though. I forgot to bring it up, but I thought about this when we were watching Avengers, and like when there's that scene that he's all the way inside, and then he goes out with an RPG. I'm like, how did he get there so fast? Is that a Skrull? Don't know. But I always think about honestly, that when I see Nick Fury.
I think honestly the Skrull may be showing up after this film because this is when S.H.I.E.L.D. gets taken down. Mm-hmm. So now he has so much more freedom to do whatever the heck Nick Fury wants to do. Sure. And I think it's been low-key confirmed that the Samuel Jackson in Age of Ultron is a Skrull.
Oh.
Man, I forgot. Babe, do you remember how that's confirmed? What? That the Age of Ultron Nick Fury is the Skrull and it's not the real one? I think it's something with the toast, isn't it? I'm going to have to look it up. But very specifically, at some point, I'm fairly certain that real Nick Fury is like, never slice your bread, your toast.
The
diagonal. Yes. Did you tell me this, Winston?
Maybe. I can't remember.
And then he does that very specifically in Age of Ultron.
Interesting. After credit scene. So God dang, what is the first one?
It's Bucky looking at the news is the last one.
Yeah, that's what I remember
too. Or it's not looking at the news, it's going to the museum to learn about himself.
That's the second after credit scene. What is the
first? It was Strucker.
Yeah, Baron Strucker.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We get to see Wanda and her brother.
These are very middling. Because Baron Strucker, I guess Wanda and what's his freaking name? Quicksilver?
Pietro,
yeah, that's right.
They're important.
Very important.
Yeah.
So now
they're not really very important. They're important, but they're not like main characters at any point.
Sure. But number one, we have the Avengers, which is Thanos.
Right, it's definitely not better than that.
Number two is Thor, Loki controlling the Tesseract.
Oh yeah, I think it's right around there.
Number three is the Incredible Hulk, Tony walking into the bar. I think
it's above Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, know that.
Because all of them together with Bucky, because even the way Bucky looks is like exactly how he looks in Civil War. And then that's pretty important. And then the scepter and Loki's scepter and Pietro and Wanda, like I think all of that is more important than just Loki showing up for. Because like all of that stuff matters in Age of Ultron and beyond, in the Wanda and Vision show and in other things. Whereas what you see at the end of Thor only really matters for Avengers. Like
So
the
you're
end
saying
credits
it's
scene,
number 2.
yeah, I think it's number 2.
Hmm.
Because we don't know it also, but that's a Infinity Stone in that scepter.
True, it's the Mind Stone.
So we're looking at the creation of Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver.
Quicksilver less so.
And
Okay, so
Vision's also kind of.
what do you think, Eric? Does it go above Loki? Like Loki, like manipulating
Well, you
things, or
know
does it
how
go
much I
under?
love Loki, so
And then also remember, Winston, that scene is kind of like not canon.
That's true. They do retcon it a little bit. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does go number 2 then.
Okay.
All right, let's go number 2.
It is a cool scene. Like Wanda is scary AF in that scene.
She is. Yeah. Getting through the last 2 facts I have here. When asked why Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, or any of the other Avengers weren't called to help Captain America or Black Widow in this film, the screenwriters explained that the movie only takes place in about 3 days, therefore the characters didn't have a chance to contact them, which I call bull on. I think
Yeah,
Iron
it's
Man could have
pretty
showed
weak.
up any point, but it's okay. It's okay. It's better off
The
without.
film would have been worse for it.
Yeah. And while Rogers and Romanoff are questioning Agent Sitwell about Zola's algorithm, Sitwell lists people that are being tracked. He mentions Stephen Strange, which I did
It's just the
not
Doctor.
realize at this point. And yeah, I'm like, they have no idea who he is. If so, they know that he's a doctor, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
When I watched it, totally in theaters, totally flew over my
Yep.
head.
Didn't know who
And then
that
like
was.
the last 2-3 times after Doctor Strange already came out, I was like, oh yeah, look at that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the facts I have. So
Also,
Yeah.
the theme for this film is basically the same as the theme for Moon Knight. Because the whole overarching theme for this film is, do you judge people based on a prediction? Based on a prediction that they're going to be bad. That's what the whole helicarriers are about. Like, oh, we track all this data, pictures, SAT scores, and like, oh, that person's going to be bad, so we're going to kill them. And and Steve Rogers is like, that is not the American way. We can't do that. And that is the exact same thing in Moon Knight. Moon Knight's like the bad guy, Ethan Hawke, is like, I have magic Egyptian powers that will tell me if you're going to be good or bad in life before you do anything good or bad.
this does it
And
way better. But yeah, sure. I see what you're saying.
So far, Winston.
So far. We're only episode
Winston,
2 has come out. So
the helicarriers are kind of
Oh, no.
but the other, I don't want to go
We're
too
done,
on.
we're done,
'cause-
Eric.
Watched it yet?
yeah,
Dude, this really isn't that bad of a spoiler. You should watch Moon Knight, bro. It's baller.
it's okay.
No, it's baller. It oozes freaking atmosphere.
I'm gonna be
and
right in the middle probably for both of you, so I'm gonna be just like, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Winston's crazy. It's baller. The first episode is good, and
Always
the second
the
episode is even
polar
better.
opposite.
First
Guys.
episode is very meh. The second one's like, I'm
No.
intrigued.
First one is good.
Anyways, going back to this movie, where does the Winter Soldier rank in the MCU, my friends?
Number 1 for me.
Of importance?
No, just total MCU. Where does this rank in the MCU? Number 1 is Avengers, 2 Iron Man, 3 Captain America, 4 Iron Man 2, 5 Iron Man 3, 6 Thor, 27 Thor Dark World, 28 The Incredible Hulk. 3. Wow.
And
I say
oh,
1.
wow, you like it more than Avengers? Good
I
for
thought
you,
about it.
Winston.
I thought about it while I was watching this, and I think
sorry. Objectively, it is a better film.
exactly.
Like better written, better told, better shot. I think almost better music, better acting, even maybe. but Avengers is just such a phenomenon that it's like it gets points because of that. And I think I will say, last thing, I think this is the only non-team up film. I'm talking other Avengers films, Civil War, Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the only non-team up film that is above Avengers, in my opinion. Like, this is the Avengers is the only team up film that is below this, in my opinion.
Wow, that's a bold statement. Yeah, so I thought about it and I was like, do I love Avengers? Yes. As I said before, Avengers just has a certain magic to it. It's brilliant. It really is. But I think just saying how many times I've seen this compared to Avengers says it all. I think that this storyline is honestly, it's a breakthrough for superhero movies in general. Like, before this movie, I would not have thought that we could have such a good and successful movie when you're talking about putting a superhero into a espionage style movie. And it does it flawlessly, and it improves the MCU, and it's more beautiful, and the action is top notch. So I'm like, I'm sorry, Avengers is a great movie, but this goes to number one, no doubt.
And it also kickstarts the momentum for the MCU.
Exactly.
It hadn't lost that much momentum. Like, you guys saw the box office numbers for The Dark World and for Iron Man 3.
Yep.
It was enormous. But for critics and for discerning fans and for people who are, they're there for the story more than they're just there for the explosions, those two movies were disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And then this movie comes along and it's like, don't worry, everybody. There's something for you.
And the Russo brothers are going to save the MCU. I remember going to watch Iron Man 3 and Thor Dark World and then watching this one. I remember I wasn't excited
the hype
for
wasn't there.
Yeah, I wasn't excited for this one because I wasn't a huge fan of the first Captain America, but two, the other two movies weren't that great. And I was like, maybe the MCU isn't that great. And then I watched this and it was like, no.
They still got stuff to tell.
Yeah. But Eric, are you still sticking with number 3 for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Avengers, you already explained it. Then Iron Man for me is just, it's something that it's too special.
I get it, bro. I get it.
So yeah, but I get your points of view too. So what did you got? You both picked for the number 1?
Yes. So this is the way it's going to happen. This is the first time that this has happened so far. So essentially, this is going to rank number 1 in the TWG MCU list. But I am now going to make a separate list for you, Eric, and where yours rank. So I suspect, especially once we get into the other 20 movies that we have to watch, we're all going to think about these movies differently. And by the end of it, our lists are going to be quite different, I believe.
Especially like the top 8. Because I think like top 8, top 6. Because like all of us love those top 6 movies. Avengers, Iron Man. Man, it's like top 8 or top 10. It's more than 6. Because there's already 3 with Avengers, Iron Man, and Winter Soldier. And it's just like, they're kind of all up there as like, these are awesome, amazing, great movies. Like, any of these could be your favorite. And I understand. I get it. It's cool. And so I think just those orders are just going to be all over the place.
Yeah. But like, on the other hand, I can almost guarantee that Eric is going to put like Guardians 2 probably above what I am going to put it at. And segueing to that, Eric, what is the next movie in the MCU for us?
It's definitely not Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, wait, it is? Okay. Next, for our marvelous, marveling Marvel
Revisitation.
I was like, why am I wanting to say marvelous facts? Next on marvelous facts, Guardians of the Galaxy.
They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy. What a bunch of a-holes.
Hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing
That's right. I'm excited for this one too. It's been a long while.
Steam Train ain't slowing down for
dude.
nobody on this next
Dude,
one.
honestly, from here on out, it is. It's
No, it slows down after this.
Does it?
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, he's right.
Well,
It
yeah.
does.
Well, I think we have one kind of low, but it's not Thor Dark World low.
No. But it's still if it's not as good, you're losing a little bit of momentum. It just
I see what
happens.
you're saying. Yeah. But
It's no phase 3. That's all I'm saying. It's
Eric-
no phase 3.
Eric, who's your favorite MCU character? So I can put the image behind your list.
Oh,
Spider-Man.
oh, that is so tough, man. Like,
If you need to think about it, it's totally fine. But
You can just text him later.
yeah,
no, just
Wolverine.
he's not MCU, bro.
MCU.
Oh, MCU. Don't worry, it'll get there. Could be a
will.
Just go ahead.
preemptive MCU.
Do Thor.
Thor. Okay. All right. We'll do. Okay. Well,
He's a friend.
that's where our revisitation has come to a close for this wonderful, great new number 1 on the TWG list. But what did you think of The Winter Soldier? What makes this movie so good? And if you disagree, please leave a comment down below. Obviously, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. We're going to keep going through the MCU, and I hope you join us as we do it. And
if you guys have any other series, Lord of the Rings, Batman, maybe we'll do those.
I'd love to rank all the Batman
oh
movies.
god,
We already did Star Wars, so we did that in like one blow. It's like, all right, here it is. This is what it is.
just because
We're
we've seen them
done.
so much.
We're not coming back to it.
Yeah,
Also because it's frustrating.
but man, I don't want to go back and see Batman and Robin. Ugh.
Hey, dude, we gotta watch the bad movies to make the good movies that much sweeter, bro.
Let's just watch the DCEU then, huh? How about that?
Okay, but some of it has to be good, Winston.
Oh,
Ouch.
ouch!
Dude, for the DCEU, it's like 2 movies, bro. It's like 2 movies, and that's it right now.
We'll see how Flash is.
It's like Wonder Woman and Man of Steel, and then if you want, you can throw Snyder Cut in there, but
BVS.
it's like a weird. BVS is not that good, bro.
It's
BVS
fine.
is like Aquaman.
This is a whole
anyways. Thanks for joining us. Have a marvelous day and stay frosty.
This has been Marvel Visitation Rights. Bye.